Good morning to all. In this session, I am going to discuss about one of the very important topic in the in the security concepts, that is the IP security. We all know very well about this IP. IP stands for the Internet Protocol. And we know that this Internet Protocol is present in the network layer. As we all know that in the OSI layer, OSI model, we have 7 different layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Here we have, in the first layer we have the physical layer, and the second layer is the data link layer. This one is the network layer. This is transport layer. And the fifth layer is the session layer. Sixth one is the presentation. And the seventh layer is the application layer. These are all the 7 layers that are supported in the OSI model, and these 7 layers help us to transmit the information from one end to the other end. There are different protocols that can be applied to each and every layer. So we have application layer. In this layer we can have many number of protocols, and in the presentation layer it has some purpose, and that purpose will be met by making use of different protocols. Similarly, the session layer will have different purpose, and it is met by making use of different protocols. Transport layer, and in the network layer we have different functionalities like framing, and similarly we have routing is also done by this network layer. Like that we have different functionalities. In this layer we are going to use the Internet Protocol. So this is where we are going to use this IP protocol, Internet Protocol, very important protocol. And here you can see that this Internet Protocol and is present inside this network layer, and this Internet Protocol is responsible for different functionalities like routing, framing, and you can divide the message into different parts. All these things we have, right? Though we have this IP protocol in the network layer that has its own functionality, why we are moving towards this IP security? We can assume that IP security, what this IP security is, it is nothing but an extension to the IP protocol. You can assume like that. So it is an Internet Protocol with the security. So this, in simplest form, we can call it as IPsec. IPsec stands for IP security. That means we are going to provide some security services to the Internet Protocol, and that we are calling it as the IPsec. Very simple thing. In this particular concept, or in this session, we are going to discuss about the introductory concepts related to the IPsec protocol. What actually is IPsec? What are the functionalities of this IPsec? What are the security services that the IPsec is going to provide to us? And what are the applications of this IPsec? All these things we will discuss in today's session. I think we are clear about the introductory parts. The IP security is, in short form, we call it as IPsec, and this can be estimated, or this can be just assumed as an extension to the Internet Protocol. Besides this normal functionalities like routing, framing, etc., packetting, it also provides some security services. It means the IPsec provides some security services. and because of this particular reason that this is providing the security services to the internet protocol, we are calling it as an extension to IP protocol and we are naming it as IPsec. So all these things we will discuss in today's session. This is the introduction to the IPsec. The IP security in short form, as I told, that it is called as IPsec. This is a notation. You should follow this notation. So I and P should be in uppercase letters and sec should be in lowercase letter. And this is the capability that can be added to IPv4 or IPv6. We know that IP is having two versions. One is IP version 4 and IP version 6. This is used to address more and more number of devices. Since IPv4 is not sufficient to handle the number of devices that are connected to the internet, we have an extension to the IPv4 or the next version of the IPv4 is the IPv6, which is capable of handling huge amount of devices. So for this IPv4 and IPv6, we are going to add some additional capabilities, security capabilities, by means of some additional headers. Headers are nothing but they consist of some additional information which may be giving some information about the content that is present inside its payload. Basically we have two parts. One is called as the payload and another one is called as the header. This payload represents the original data which it is going to transfer. It varies from layer to layer in the OSI model. So previously we have seen that application layer, it has some data to transfer. This is called, this data where the application is filling, we call it as payload. We can call it like that. And here it adds some header part, that means that some additional information is added based upon this payload, and that is sent to the next layer, that is the presentation layer. In the presentation layer, this entire entity is going to be considered as a single entity, and to this it is going to add some header like this. So for this presentation layer, this entire part which it has received from the application layer, this part is considered to be the payload, and for this payload it is going to add some header part. Like that, this particular thing happens to each and every layer inside the OSI model. So the payload is the actual information that it is getting received from the upper layers. Here the upper layers are application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport. So for the network layer, we have transport, session, presentation, application layer. So every data should be transferred or should be transmitted through these four layers in order to reach the network layer. So whatever data that the particular layer is receiving from the upper layer, that is called as a payload. For example, if you take this network layer, the network layer will be getting the data from the transport layer. This is very much sure. And the entire data or the TCP entity that is received to the network layer is called as the payload. And this network layer is going to add some additional information to the payload. This is called as the header. So whatever we get the payload from the TCP transport layer, we are going to add some additional information in order to provide some security services. And that is possible by making use of this IPsec. And you may be getting a doubt, what are the various functionalities of this IP security? There are majorly three functionalities, or the three functional areas on which the IP security is going to give us the services. One is the authentication service, the second one is the confidentiality, and the third one is the key management. So anybody, if somebody asks you what are the three functional areas of the IP security, you can simply say that three major functional areas are the authentication, confidentiality, and the key management. All these services we have seen in the introductory concepts of the first unit, where the authentication is a service where you are going to verify the sender. In a communication, we know that there are two parties involved in the communication. One is the sender and another one is the receiver. So once the data is received at the receiving end, the receiver has to verify whether the data is sent by the genuine user or not, whether it is sent by this S or not. That is called as verification of the sender. That is called as the authentication service in the cryptography terminology. So IP security ensures that authentication happens in the communication between the sender and the receiver. To achieve this authentication, the IPsec makes use of the HMAC algorithm. HMAC stands for hash based message authentication code. You can say that this is also an acronym, HMAC. To provide this authentication service, the IPsec is going to use this HMAC algorithm, and you can assume that this HMAC algorithm can be applied to the entire IP packet. So I told that this payload and header, we can combinedly call this as the IP packet. You can apply this authentication service to the entire IP packet, or else you can also apply this to the only payload also. Choice is yours. So how you are going to add this authentication service means, remember that it's a very simple concept. You add some additional information to the original packet. What are additional information you add to the packets? We call them as the header. So you are going to provide the security services by making use of the headers or the trailers. You have two terminologies, header or the trailer. So header is placed before the payload, this is payload, and header is placed like this. Trailer is something that comes after the payload, like this. Since it is following the payload, we call it as the trailer, and since it is preceding the payload, we call it as header. Any service you are going to provide with respect to this IPsec will be done by making use of the headers and trailers. You will be adding some additional information to the packets in the form of headers and trailers. Simple concept. And the second functional area of this IPsec is the confidentiality. We know very well about this confidentiality. So confidentiality ensures the secure exchange of messages from sender to the receiver. This one. How we are going to provide the security, how we are going to securely exchange the messages from the sender to the receiver or vice versa, is by making use of the encryption and decryption techniques, which we have learned in the previous sessions. We have a lot of discussions on this, how we are going to encrypt and how we are going to decrypt. There are number of algorithms that support the encryption and decryption. We know that there are two types, one is the private key cryptography and the second one is the public key cryptography. So I am not going to discuss about all those things, but remember that this confidentiality is nothing but secure exchange of messages by providing an encryption format or by providing a decryption format. in this particular confidentiality service that is provided by the IPsec, we are going to discuss about one important, very important concept, that is encapsulating security payload. In short form, we call this as ESP. We will discuss everything in the next coming sessions. And this ESP can be implemented in two modes. One is the tunnel mode and the transport mode, which is very important concept which you should learn, and we will discuss everything. And third functional area of this IPsec is the key management. So we have different keys for providing the encryption or decryption or authentication or whatever it may be, digital signatures, anything is based on the keys, but majorly the key concept is based on the encryption and decryption technique. Once you have the keys, you have to have some mechanism to transfer these keys securely from one place to another place. And how you are going to transfer the keys from one place to another place securely is based upon one particular concept which is called as the key management. It is going to manage the keys. It is going to tell you how securely you can exchange the keys. And for this key management, we are going to use the IKE concept. IKE stands for Internet Key Exchange. So, lot of terminologies you will come across in this IPsec. So, for key management, we will have this IKE which defines the number of techniques for the key management. Internet Key Exchange. It is a large topic which we will be learning within next few discussions. So, IPsec is going to provide us three functional areas. One is the authentication and the confidentiality, second one, and the third one is the key management. For providing authentication, we have a concept called as AH. AH stands for authentication header. This is going to provide the authentication service. And for providing this confidentiality service, we have ESP, encapsulating security payload. And for providing this key management, we have IKE, Internet Key Exchange. But the authentication header is deprecated in the new era. It is completely removed. Why this authentication header has been removed means, the reason is that ESP, as we know that this is going to provide us the confidentiality service. But in addition to this confidentiality service, it also provides the authentication also. Since ESP is providing both authentication and confidentiality service, we are not going to concentrate on this authentication header. Otherwise, this is also a very important topic, but since ESP is providing both these services, we are just removing this discussion of authentication header from our discussion point of view. We will be discussing about this ESP and IKE. So, if this is clear, we can move to the next topic, that is why we require this IP security. We have learned what this IP security is. IP security is nothing but an additional component that is added in the form of header or trailer to the already existing IP protocol in order to provide us the security services such as the authentication, confidentiality and key management. Now, we will see why this IP security is required for us, why it is important. So, we have different applications that are running in our system. For example, if you have this electronic mail, email, let us take a famous application we have. This is the email client I have, and in order to secure this email client, In the previous sessions, we have studied two important protocols that facilitate the security for this email, that is the SMIME or PGP, Petty Good Privacy, Secure Multimedia Internet Mail Extensions. These two protocols are there to provide the security for the email client. Similarly, if you take the client server model, for providing security for this client server model, we have Kerberos. Like that, if you take any application that is provided in the application layer, everything is secured by making use of different security protocols. In the similar fashion, in order to provide security for the IP, that is at the network layer, we should have some facility. That facility is provided by this IP security. So, lot of applications are there and lot of protocols are there to support or to facilitate the security for these applications, but still why we require this IP means, let us take an example. For example, we have a large enterprise and it is running its own IP network. That means it is having its own network like this. This is some organization XYZ. It has its own network. If it is having its own IP network, it can create its own rules. So, it may not allow the untrusted sites to enter into our network. And whatever data that is going out of this network is secured or it is encrypted. So, whenever you want to send some data outside this network, you should encrypt it so that it will not leak the confidential data of the organization. Like that, it can also authenticate the packets that enter the premises. So, everything is in this border only. Every security you are providing is in the border. So, whatever packets you are sending outside, they are secured, and whatever data that is coming into our network, they are also secured. For this type of implementation, you need to have a higher level security protocols, and that higher level security, if it is provided at the IP layer or the network layer, then we can say that the entire organization is secured. You can also provide the security based upon these applications also. You can provide the security at the application layer, but when you provide the security at the internet protocol layer or the network layer, the organization can ensure secure networking not only for the applications that have the secure mechanism, but also for many other applications. So, you may have some applications which does not have any security, but if you want to secure such type of applications, it is better that you apply the security at the higher level. That is the reason why we are going to higher level, in the sense, don't take the layer number of the OSI model layers, right. For example, application layer is at layer 7. Similarly, presentation layer is at layer 6, session it is at layer 5, transport it is at layer 4, network it is at layer 3. So, don't take these one. Application layer is at 7th layer and network layer is 3rd layer. So, if I mean that it is providing the security at the higher level, means you have to consider these layers. So, you are going to provide, if you are going to provide the security at the IP level, you are going to secure the entire network irrespective of the applications, whether it is secured or unsecured, everything is secure. That is the reason why the IP security plays very important role in the security aspects. Once we know why this security is important, let us go to the history of this IP security. When this IP security has been proposed is in the year 1994. We have a board called as Internet Architecture Board, which issued a report titled Security in the Network Architecture or Security in the Internet Architecture. And that is defined inside this RFC 1636. As we know that RFC stands for Recommended for Comments. This paper proposed by this Internet Architecture Board, Security in the Internet Architecture, is placed in there and they have accepted the comments. Right. The report, what is the basic understanding of this paper is nothing but it is going to define or it is going to identify the key areas for the security mechanisms. Those key areas are nothing but what we have discussed till now, that is the authentication, how we are going to provide the authentication at the IP layer, how we are going to provide the confidentiality at the IP layer, and how we are going to exchange the keys securely at the IP layer. These are the three things they have discussed. So, these are the key areas of the security mechanism that are identified in this paper by Internet Architecture Board. So, to provide security, the Internet Architecture Board included the authentication and encryption as necessary security features in the next generation IP, which is going to be the IPv6. So, basically the IAB has defined these authentication and encryption services as the mandatory services that should be included in the next generation of IP protocol, that is IPv6. But they implemented this in the IPv4 also. These services has been included in the IPv4 also with the help of this IPsec. This is what they are going to discuss. Fortunately, these security capabilities were designed to usable both with the current IPv4 and the future IPv6. So, basically their thought was to provide the security services to the future internet protocol, that is IPv6. But by luck, these capabilities are also designed to be used by this present generation of IP protocol, which is IPv4. For this reason, whatever major vendors are there who provide this IPv4, they are going to embed these security services inside their devices. So, all the devices that support the IPv4 are included, are having they are going to provide these services, and that is called as the IPsec. Therefore, they are going to include the IPsec capability to their products which support this IPv4. And later, because of its lot of capabilities the IPsec is having, it is kept as the internet standard. It is standardized. So, IPsec is standardized protocol. It roots from 1994. It has its roots in the year 1994. But still it is the best IP security protocol that we can discuss in today's era also. That is the strength of the IPsec. And that's all about the introduction part or the history of the IPsec. And let us move our discussions to the applications of IPsec. We know what this IPsec is. We know why this IPsec is. We know the history of the IPsec. Now, let us move to the applications. Everything is okay, but if you don't know the application part of any protocol, then it is a simple waste of discussion. So, in this slide, we are going to discuss about the applications of IPsec or IP security. And one important point you should remember here is, we know that IPsec is going to provide us the authentication service, confidentiality service, and key management service. But to whom it is going to provide? Is it to the local network, or it is to the private network, or it is to the public network, or it is to the internet? So, there are a lot of questions to be answered. The simple answer to, or a single answer to all the questions is, the IPsec can be applied to any of the networks. You can apply it to the local area network, you can apply it to the wide area network, you can apply it for the internet also. So it has its wide area of application. There is no restriction that IPsec can be used only for the LANs, it is be used only for the WANs. You can apply it to any area, you can apply it to the LANs, WANs, internet, anywhere you can use. And the main purpose is to secure the communications across the LAN, across private or public WANs, or across the internet. This is the important point you should understand. So for this reason, it is very familiar protocol which provides the security. And coming to the application areas, we will see some 4 to 5 application areas where we can use this IPsec. The first application is the secure branch office connectivity over the internet. The name itself is saying that by looking at this term, by reading carefully about this term, you can simply understand. So we are going to provide a secure branch office connectivity over the internet. We know that the IPsec can be applied to LAN, WAN as well as the internet also. So what is this secure branch office means? If you take a company or if you take a large enterprise, it is scattered throughout the world, or it is scattered, it has its offices throughout the country, or it has its offices throughout the world. If you take an MNC, multinational company, so everywhere they are going to, for example, it can have a branch office in Kakinada, it can have a branch office in Hyderabad, it can have a branch office in Delhi or in Bangalore or in Amaravati. Like that, you can have number of branch offices, and every branch office can have its own private networks. This is having its own private network, it is having its own private network, everything. And the office at Delhi is also having private network. But all these branch offices are connected via internet. These are connected via internet. So when you have this type of setup, that means a company can have its own virtual private networks, and those virtual private networks are connected over the network, are connected over the internet or a public wide area network also. Anything is possible. In such scenarios, the business from one area, for example, you take the Amaravati, Bangalore. So the business of one area depends heavily on the internet. So you can blindly assume that internet is a vulnerable area where the attackers can attack our networks, the private networks or public networks, anything can be attacked once you connect it to the internet. You connect your device to the internet, then you may be at risk. Attackers may attack your mobile device. You connect your laptop to the internet, your laptop may be hacked. You connect your palm top to your internet, it can be hacked. Like that, anything you connect to the internet, it is having the high risk that it can be attacked or it can be hacked by the unauthorized users. So you have these private secure branch offices. This is highly secured private office. This is also highly secured. This is also highly secured. This is also highly secure. But whenever you connect these high secure private networks to the internet, it is guaranteed that these networks are being attacked by the attackers. But once you implement the IPsec for your branch offices, it is going to provide or it is going to secure your branch office from the external attacks over the internet. So this is the advantage we have this application of this IPsec. So one private network is connected to the other private network over the network internet and reduce its need for the private networks. Thereby it is going to save lot of money for the management, and it is going to save lot of overhead that is involved in the network management. So that is possible only with this IPsec. The second application what we have with this IPsec is secure remote access over the internet. Carefully study this term, that is secure remote access over the internet. Again we have the internet concept. For example, assume that you are working from home somewhere around in Kakinada and your main office is located at Hyderabad. The place where you are working from, that is the Kakinada, may not be secured. Why? Because this is not a private network. You don't define any rules to encounter the attacks. You are just connecting it to the internet, and that via internet you are going to connect to your main office. But how you are going to secure this network or secure your local network? It is not that you just connect it to the internet and then send the data to the branch office or the head office and you receive the data from the head office to your local system. It may not be secured. So in order to ensure the security at the end user at this location, your system should be equipped with the IPsec protocol. This is important. So you implement or you just add this IPsec protocol. Whenever you add this IPsec protocol to your system, then your system is highly secured. You can make local calls to the ISP, Internet Service Provider, or you can gain a secure access to the company network. Previously, when you don't have this IPsec, this is not secured. Therefore, that private network of your branch office may not accept your calls or may not accept the data that is sent to the branch office. Why? Because it is not secured. It doesn't have any IPsec implemented. Once you implement this IPsec at your local station, it is highly secured and you can securely connect it to your branch offices. And you can make calls to the branch offices by making use of this IPsec also. Thereby, you can reduce the cost of the calls, or you can reduce a lot of cost that is incurred for the employees to travel from this location to this location. That is all possible because of this IPsec that is implemented in our local system. In the first case, we have seen the IPsec that is implemented in the private networks, private virtual networks, and in the second example, we have seen how we can implement this IPsec at the local station and what are the benefits we have by implementing this IPsec. All these things we have discussed. And the third example what we can give is the same thing, establishing extranet and intranet connectivity with partners. We can also extend this as establishing secure extranet and intranet connectivity with partners. The concept is same. Whenever you have, for example, let us take this XYZ is an organization and ABC is another organization. These are the two collaborative organizations that want to transfer some amount of information to and fro, like this. In order to have the secure communication between these two organizations, they should establish some extranet or they should establish some intranet. Thereby, they can securely transfer the information from to XYZ to ABC or ABC to XYZ. For such type of setups, you always require a secure communication channel. Security is very important. So this can be implemented by making use of this IPsec. So the point here is the IPsec can be used to secure communications with the organization which ensures the authentication, confidentiality, and provide the key management between these two organizations. So the third example is related to how we are going to secure the communication between two different organizations. This is securing the private network, this is securing the private system, and this is securing the communication channel between two organizations. This is very important. And the next example is enhancing electronic commerce security. Electronic commerce is not a new term, it is nothing but e-commerce. You might be visiting a lot of e-commerce websites like Flipkart, Chrome, Amazon, like that. When you make transactions with that e-commerce websites, you should ensure that your communication or your transaction is safe. Though the Flipkart or Amazon, the e-commerce websites, they are providing lot of applications which have some built-in security protocols, but for your purpose you should have the IPsec that is implemented in your device. And what this IPsec will do is, even though the Flipkart people or the Amazon people, they are providing lot of applications to secure the transactions, but once you have this IPsec, it enhances the security. It just enhances. So whatever you have one security layer, and above it IPsec is going to provide another layer, enhancement. So that is the main purpose of this IPsec, where you can use it for the e-commerce also. So once you have this IPsec, as we know that because of its functional areas, IPsec guarantees that all the traffic designated by the network administrator is both encrypted and authenticated, and adding an additional layer of security to whatever is provided at the application layer. So it is going to provide one layer of additional security. And similarly, in routing applications, fifth one, we have different applications. As I told that one of the functionality of the network layer is the routing, which makes use of different algorithms. So once you route the packet from the sender to the receiver, that should be secured. So for such routing applications also you can make use of this IPsec. These are the various application areas where we can use this IPsec. This is not limited to these 5 applications. You can apply this IPsec anywhere you can, when you want to have the security to be provided at your location or at the private network or among the two organizations, anywhere you can use. And the principal feature of this IPsec is that it supports wide variety of applications in the form of encryption, authentication of all the traffic at the IP level. Everything is secure. Similarly, most of the distributed applications like remote logon, here in the second example we have seen, client server, email, file transfer, web access, and so on can be secured. So as I told in the previous discussion that there are some applications where you don't have the security features, and when you don't have the security features at the application level, nothing to worry, you don't have to worry about it. Just forget and you just implement the IP security at the network layer. Finish. Everything works fine, everything is secured. That is the power of this IPsec. So once we are done with these applications of this IP security, let us check where we can implement these security protocols. The first and foremost question that we get is, okay, I got what this IP security is. I know very well about the functional areas of the IP security. I know the history of the IP security. I know the applications of the IP security. But where I can install this IPsec protocol? Is it at the client system, or is it at the router, or is it at the firewall? That is the doubt you are having, right? So the concept here is, you can implement this IPsec or the IP security protocol anywhere. You can implement it locally, which is called as the user workstations. At the user workstation, that is your own device, let us call it as a laptop or desktop, whatever it may be, anywhere you can implement it. The other way is you can implement at the end point of the network. End point of the network. So this end point can be either a router or it can be a firewall. We will see it with an example also. So every LAN, as I told that this is one LAN and this is LAN 2 and this is LAN 3, like this we have different local area networks and everything is connected over a internet like this. You can observe here that the LAN 1 is connected to the internet via a device. There exists a device which is called as the end point of the network. So anything that goes outside this LAN 1 should pass through this device only, and anything that comes into the network should pass through this device only. So that point we can call it as the end point of the network. So this entire network is going to end here and everything is going to be transferred from here inbound or outbound. Anything is going to happen within these devices only. So once you implement this IPsec at this device, everything is secure. So you can, that end device can be a router or a firewall. That is the point you should understand. So once you implement this IPsec at this router and firewall, whatever packets that go outside this network, they are passed through this device and this device is going to add this IPsec header to that particular data. So everything is secure. So these are the two locations. One is locally at the user workstations. You can implement it or you can just install this IPsec. It's not the term called installation, you can implement it. Or you can implement this IPsec at the end point of the network, which can be a router or a firewall. Let us see it with an example. See here, this is a local network where we have one system and it is connected to a switch, Ethernet switch, and this is a networking device. It can be a firewall. Let us take it as a firewall. You can see here that the IP packet, this one, IP packet which is coming or going outside of this network device, this is the end point, end device, is having only IP header and IP payload. But once it passes outside this network or outside this end device, you can see that the IPsec header is added here. That means whatever packets that go through this end device is going to add some additional information, that is the IPsec header, to provide the services of confidentiality, authentication and key management. So this is the end device where the IPsec has been implemented. But if you look at this network, it is a single system, user device, and you, by looking at this packet, you can see that IPsec is implemented. This one, IPsec header is implemented. So whatever data that is being sent from this workstation, it is having the IPsec header. That means the system itself is implementing the IPsec protocol. So the second case is also satisfied. As I told that the IPsec protocol can be implemented either at the local stations or it can be implemented at the end devices. So this is the first case and this is the second case. And this is a public internet or a private network, whatever it may be. So once you receive these packets, and here also you can see that this is an end device which is a router or a firewall. Maximum cases this end device will be a firewall. So So once you have this IPsec implemented at this end device, whatever data that comes out of this network, you can see that this is another network. So this is server, this is a workstation, and here we have two workstations, workstation 1 and workstation 2. We have two workstations connected with switch, and switch does not have this IPsec protocol. So whatever data is coming outside this switch, it is having only IP header and IP payload. But once it is coming out of this end device or the firewall, you can observe here that IPsec is added. So IPsec is implemented at the end device. So this is the example where which gives a clear idea of where you can implement this IPsec. The 2 points are, you can implement the IPsec at the workstation, user workstation, or you can implement the IPsec at the end devices such as the router or the firewall. Once we are clear about the placement of this IPsec protocol or implementation of this IPsec protocol, let us see what are the benefits of IPsec. As I told that when IPsec is implemented in a firewall or router, it provides very strong security that can be applied to all the traffic crossing that device. So you have an end device here and you implemented this IPsec. So whatever thing that is going outside this network is secured, and whatever thing that is coming through this device will be secured. So the entire network is secure. That is the importance you have to understand. So traffic within the organization does not incur the overhead of security related processing. So whatever traffic, for example, I have two systems here or three systems in the internet network, intranet, and assume that these devices are connected locally. Since the entire devices that are present inside the private network are secured, there is no need to have extra processing overhead in the form of IPsec. Why? Because if IPsec is present, you require a lot of processing when you are sending the data, or when you receive the data, you have to unpack it, or a lot of processing is involved in the IPsec. When you implement this IPsec at the end device of the network, that is at the firewall, the entire processing drawbacks that are involved in processing the IPsec within the network can be avoided. That is one of the advantages we can have by implementing the IPsec at the device level or at the end device level. So when IPsec is in a firewall is resistant to bypass. So IPsec in a firewall is resistant to bypass any traffic from the outside, or firewall is the only means of entrance from the internet into the organization. I told that, right? So anything that goes outside this network should go through this firewall only. Anything that enters this network should always come with this through this firewall only. So everything is secure. And the another benefit we have here is, here the first benefit is processing overhead is reduced. Processing overhead is reduced when you place this IPsec protocol in the firewall. And the second one is the IPsec is below this TCP UDP. So this one is transport layer, and below this transport layer we have the internet layer or network layer. So it is below this TCP protocol, and it is transparent to applications. What do you mean by transparency? Means whatever, when you implement this IPsec, there is no need to change any software that is present in the upper layers. When you change a protocol here from IP to IPsec, there is nothing to do with the upper layers. No changes are there in the upper layers. This is the advantage we have with this IPsec. And similarly, IPsec is transparent to end users. As I told that there is no need to extensively train the users on this IPsec. There is no need to train the users on the security mechanism. It's obviously we know what authentication is, we know what confidentiality is, we know what key management is. So once you know about this, you just change this IP to IPsec. That's all. It will work. Nothing to train about the user. Train the users. And similarly, IPsec can provide security for the individual users if needed. This is done by just implementing this IPsec in your local workstations. and this is very much useful when the employees are working off-site or on-site. And what they can do is, for example, lot of people nowadays they are work from home. So if this is the case, they can simply implement the IPsec and they can secure their own systems and they can securely connect to their branch offices. They can securely make the calls to the branch offices. That is all possible because of this IPsec. These are all the various benefits we have from this IPsec. And finally, we are going to discuss about this IPsec documents. The reason is why you are discussing this one is we need to know about this IPsec. What is this IPsec? Everything we know, that we got it from the textbook. But if you want to know the extra information about this IPsec, you should have some documents that are related to the IPsec. As I told that anything that is present inside the computer networks should be documented, and those documents we call them as the RFCs, recommended for comments. So we have number of RFCs that are present inside this that gives lot of information regarding this IPsec. So many documents are there and they are standardized documents. So there are some dozens of RFCs and IETF documents are there, making it, and this is very complex. This IPsec is a very complex, but we will just discuss the basic or the main documents. IPsec documents are the RFCs that support the that give some idea about this, basic idea about this IPsec. The first one is the architecture document and it is defined inside this RFC 4301. And this is called as the security architecture for internet protocol. And what this RFC 4301 consists is, it consists of general concepts of this internet protocol, what are the security requirements of the internet protocol, various definitions of the internet protocol and various mechanisms that define the IPsec ways defined inside this architecture document, which is called as the RFC 4301. Other than this, we know that IPsec is going to provide us the authentication and it is in the form of authentication header. The document that is related to the authentication header is RFC 4302 and it is going to provide the authentication header in the form of additional header. Even the confidentiality is provided with additional header or trailer. Authentication is provided with the help of the additional header. All these things is possible. And now authentication header is deprecated. I told it in the first slide itself. Authentication header is deprecated. Why? Because ESP itself is going to provide the authentication service. ESP, encapsulating security payload, it is going to provide the confidentiality service. Basically it is designed to provide the confidentiality service, but in addition to this it is going to provide the authentication service also. Because of this reason we are just neglecting this additional header that is provided in the form of authentication header. But it is included, the authentication header is included in IPsec version 3 for backward compatibility, but should not be used in new applications. Never use this authentication header. And the next document is the encapsulating security payload. So if you want to have some idea about this ESP, you should go and check this RFC 4303. Everything is available over net. It is free, you can read it and you can give the comments also. You cannot modify it, but you can give your comments through proper channel. And what this ESP consists of, this RFC 4303 consists of encapsulating header and it also consists of encapsulating trailer and it is used to provide the encryption or combined encryption or authentication. So you have different options with this ESP. You can make use of ESP to provide the only confidentiality service, or you can make this ESP to provide both the authentication as well as the confidentiality service. Anything is possible, choice is yours. And the last one is the internet key exchange, which is defined inside this RFC 4306, and it describes various key management schemes that is used with the IPsec. Other than this 4301 which is architecture, 4302 which is authentication header, 4303 which is ESPN, 4306 IKE. Other than this, there are lot of dozens of documents that are supported, which gives a basic idea about various cryptographic algorithms that are used for the encryption, message authentication, cryptographic key exchanges, and security policies, and something like message information base MIB content. Everything is included in these RFCs. Right. So this completes our discussion on. Okay, we have another thing, that is the IPsec services. These are the various services. We know what are the services that are provided by the IPsec. Broadly, we have authentication service, we have confidentiality service, and we have key exchanges or key management. The same thing they are explaining it. Access control, connectionless integrity. Integrity stands for it provides a service such that the data is not modified during transmission. That is called as integrity. And the integrity is provided in the connectionless networks. It is called as the connectionless integrity. And data origin authentication. This is what the basic purpose of this IPsec is. Rejection of replayed attacks or replayed packets. I will tell you what this replaying is, and what are the how ESP is going to provide us these anti-replay attacks. How it is going to protect the packets from the anti-replay attacks. And another one is confidentiality service, and the next service is limited traffic flow confidentiality. All these things are the various services that are provided by the IPsec. But basically, please keep it in mind that three most important services that is going to provided by the IPsec is the authentication, confidentiality, and key management. So that's all for today's session. In this session, we have seen what an IPsec is. What is that it is going to provide? We know that IPsec is going to provide the additional services, security services such as the confidentiality, authentication, and key management for the already existing IP protocol. You can implement this IPsec either with the IPv4 or IPv6. Later we have discussed the history of this IPsec, and we have seen why we have to use this IPsec. We have seen various applications of IPsec. Similarly, we have discussed what are the benefits of IPsec we have, what are the various applications we can use, and we already discussed where we can implement this IPsec, whether we can implement it in the local system or in the end device. Anywhere you can implement it. By implementing the IPsec at the end device of the network, you have some benefits. That means the locally processed data among the devices of the local network need not have to process the IPsec. So extra processing capabilities will be avoided, thereby it saves a lot of time. Similarly, you can also implement the IPsec at your end user system also. All these things we have discussed with an example also, and finally we have ended our discussion with various RFC documents that are required to have good knowledge on this IPsec, and we have ended our discussion with various services provided by the IPsec. So that's all for today's session. In the next coming session, we are going to discuss about one more important topic, that is the IP security policy, ISP. We should not call it as ISP. ISP stands for Internet Service Provider. That's a different case. Then that we are going to discuss in the next session is IP security policy. That's all for today's session. Thank you one and all.